What happens when a woman dumps her newborn to chase wealth, only to beg that same child for mercy years later? This is The Son She Dumped, a story of betrayal, karma, and the kind of revenge you never see coming. You don't want to miss this. Tap that subscribe button, like, comment, and share if you love scandalous African dramas that keep you hooked till the last second. They say every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. But what happens when a mother buries her own future, just to chase vanity? Welcome to Ajagunle, Lagos. This is the beginning of a secret that would one day shake the whole nation. The sun had barely risen, but the streets of Ajagunle were already buzzing. Hawkers shouting, children running barefoot, and the scent of Accra and engine oil mixing in the air. In one of the cramped Face Me I Face You compounds lived Rita Ease, a 19-year-old girl with too much beauty and not enough sense. Light-skinned, curvy, with a waist that turned heads and a mouth that never stayed shut, Rita was the dream of every area boy, and the headache of every mother. Her own mother, Mama Nkechi, a widowed pepper seller, had given up trying to control her. Rita. Come help me wash the pepper. I'm coming, Mama. Rita shouted from inside their room, but she wasn't coming. She was applying foundation with one cracked mirror and prepping her fake Brazilian wig. By the time she stepped out, she was wearing a miniskirt, crop top, and heels too high for Ajagunle dust roads. Where are you going dressed like that? Mama Nkechi asked, voice shaking. Party in Lekki, Mama. One Alhaji is sending Uber for me. Rita, God will judge you. Oh. She rolled her eyes and strutted off. She didn't want poverty. She wanted champagne, hotel suites, and soft life. At a private lounge in Lekki Phase 1, Rita sat across from Chief Fashola, a politician with a protruding belly, gold wristwatch, and dark secrets. He was married, but he didn't care. Rita was young, sweet-talking, and desperate for escape. I want to take care of you, he said, caressing her hand. Then do it properly, nah. I want iPhone, rent money, small Benz, Chief laughed. You go get everything, baby girl. Just make yourself available when I call. They started an affair that lasted 4 months. Rita stopped coming home. Mama Nkechi cried day and night. Neighbors gossiped, but Rita didn't care. Then, she missed her period. When she told Chief Fashola she was pregnant, the man changed instantly. Pregnant? That can't be my own. Don't come near me again, oh. But Chief. We didn't even, I said don't call this number again. He blocked her. Rita panicked. Her friends abandoned her. Her money dried up. She returned to Ajagunle with her belly growing and her shame heavier than ever. Mama Nkechi was shocked. Pregnant? Whose child? Rita refused to say. As months passed, she hid the pregnancy with big clothes, staying indoors. At night, she cried. She knew she couldn't afford a baby. And she hated the idea of being a single mother stuck in poverty. On a rainy Wednesday night, Rita went into labor. No hospital. No midwife. Just her, biting a rag and bleeding on the cement floor of their room while her mother was at a vigil. She gave birth to a boy. The child cried softly. She looked at him, and felt nothing. You're beautiful. She whispered. Then paused. But you're going to ruin me. At 3 a.m., she wrapped the newborn in an old Ankara cloth, opened the compound gate quietly, and walked barefoot for hours. She reached St. Mary's Catholic Orphanage in Ikoyi, placed the baby at the entrance, knocked hard on the gate, and ran. She didn't even look back. She returned home before dawn, blood between her legs, trembling. She burned the clothes and told no one. Later that day, she told Mama Nkechi, I miscarried. I flushed it out. Mama wept. But Rita? Rita wiped her tears, cleaned herself up, and began plotting her return to Lagos Island. She had dreams to chase. The year is 2023. Lagos is louder, richer, and more ruthless than ever. Skyscrapers now tower over old neighborhoods. And deep within the heart of Victoria Island stands a building with mirrored glass and gold-lettered signage, Maverick Tech Group. At the top floor of this empire sat Michael O'Keefe, a man born in rejection, but raised in purpose. Now 25 years old, he was tall, dark-skinned, and carried an intimidating calmness. His tailored suit spoke wealth. His silence spoke power. But behind his cold, calculating stare was a burning question that had haunted him since childhood: who left me? And why? Michael was the abandoned baby Rita dropped at the gates of St. Mary's Catholic Orphanage. The same baby wrapped in the blood-stained Ankara cloth. That cloth, and the faint scar on his left arm from it, were the only things he had from his birth. Michael had grown up inside the orphanage's crumbling walls. No mother. No father. Just strict nuns, occasional beatings, and the pain of always being passed over for adoption. They said he was too quiet, too serious, too intense. But Michael used that pain to build his brain. By age 12, he could take apart a computer and rebuild it. By 16, he was tutoring university students in coding. By 19, he had secured an international scholarship and launched a small tech product, Swift Wallet, that caught fire across Lagos. By 25, Maverick Tech had offices in 3 countries, partnerships with major banks, and was valued at over $200 million. The world called him a genius. But deep down, Michael wasn't chasing wealth. He was chasing identity. The billion-dollar company? Just a tool. One quiet morning, everything changed. At St. Mary's, Sister Philomena, an elderly nun who had raised him like a mother, was on her deathbed. Her breath was weak, her hands shaking. Michael came to say goodbye. She took his hand and whispered, "You were left with this." She opened a drawer and gave him a faded plastic bag. Inside it, the same blood-stained Ankara cloth. And a small note, folded tightly, yellow with age. On the note, 2 initials, R.E. Michael froze. He had kept the cloth in his safe before, but this version had something else sewn into the hem, a string of loose stitches that, when picked, revealed a torn ID card with a teenage photo of a woman. A girl with high cheekbones. Light-skinned. Smiling with a cruel sort of innocence. On the back of the card, Rita Ease. Ajigunal. 1998. His heart pounded. Finally, a name. After Sister Philomena's burial, Michael made a decision. He hired A.O. Williams, one of the best private investigators in Nigeria. A man with no morals but excellent results. "Find her," Michael said. "Her name is Rita Ease. I want everything. Where she lives, who she married, what she eats. Everything." A.O. nodded. "You want her quietly followed?" "No," Michael replied. "I want her studied." Meanwhile, on the other side of Lagos, Madame Rita was living her dream. Now in her mid-40s, she had changed everything about her life, except her arrogance. She owned House of Elegance, a boutique in Lekki that catered to politicians' wives and slay queens. Her husband, Senator Martins Oladapo, had recently retired from the Senate, but his influence still dripped from every handshake. Together, they hosted dinners, attended charity galas, and rubbed shoulders with the country's elite. Rita had long buried her Ajigunal past. She told everyone she had studied fashion in Italy. She claimed her father was a diplomat. No one questioned her because money talks, and Lagos listens. She lived in a mansion with housemaids, drove a black G-Wagon, and only drank bottled water from France. She had no idea that her past was quietly circling her like a vulture. Because while Rita was sipping moat at women's brunches, Michael was watching. Through photos. Surveillance. Event guest lists. Even hacked emails. Then came the final blow, a photo of Rita and her husband standing beside Michael at a political fundraiser 2 weeks prior. The same event where Michael had given a 100 million Nigerian nairas donation. She was only 2 feet away from him. Laughing. flashing teeth. Unaware that the man standing beside her was the same boy she left to die. Michael stared at the photo for hours. Then he smiled, a slow, bitter smile. "She doesn't even recognize me," he whispered. He lit a cigar, leaned back in his chair, and whispered to himself. "She will." The ballroom at the Monarch Hotel in Lagos Island sparkled with chandeliers, gold-trimmed ceilings, and clinking champagne glasses. That evening, Lagos elite had gathered for the Hope for Homes Gala, a high-profile charity event supporting orphanages across Nigeria. Senators, CEOs, first wives, billionaires. And among them was Michael Okezie, dressed in a sleek black tuxedo, silent as always, with a presence that turned heads without trying. The media had already swarmed him earlier that night. He had just pledged a staggering 200 million Nigerian nairas to build a new orphanage in Ogun State. Every camera wanted him. Every guest whispered his name. But Michael wasn't there for headlines. He was there for her. Rita. She entered the ballroom with her husband, Senator Martins Oladapo, holding his arm and waving gracefully like a first lady. She wore a floor-length silver gown, a bone-straight wig, and diamond earrings that sparkled under the lights. Michael stood near the bar, watching her from across the room. She hadn't changed much. Older now, yes. But her smile was the same, fake, sweet, calculated. Michael's jaw clenched. They had never locked eyes, yet. But tonight, that would change. After dinner, after the speeches, after Rita posed for one last photograph, her phone buzzed. An anonymous message. Dinner. The Orchid Room. Tomorrow night. Private. Rita raised an eyebrow. She showed the message to no one. The Orchid Room was Lagos' most exclusive restaurant. A place where billionaires made deals over 50,000 Nigerian nairas cocktails. She smiled to herself. Another admirer. The Orchid Room was empty, save for one reserved table in the center under soft golden lights. Fresh roses on the table. A single chair facing the entrance. Rita walked in like royalty, heels clicking, makeup flawless, her perfume leaving a trail of luxury behind her. She didn't recognize the man at the table at first. Just another rich young mogul, probably after political access or fashion influence. Michael stood up politely and pulled out her chair. "Madam Rita," he said smoothly. She smiled. "Yes. And you are?" Michael ignored the question and poured her a glass of wine. They sat. Small talk lasted less than a minute. Then, Michael reached into his jacket, pulled out a small plastic zip bag, and placed something on the table. It was the Ankara cloth. Old, faded, and stained. Rita's smile broke. Her fingers froze. Her eyes locked on the cloth like it had come back from the grave. The color drained from her face. Her wine glass trembled in her hand. She looked up slowly. Michael leaned forward, his voice cold and sharp. "Does this look familiar to you, Rita Ease?" She gasped. No one had used her maiden name in over 20 years. I don't understand, what is this?" she stuttered. Michael didn't blink. "You left me at the gate of St. Mary's Catholic Orphanage. Wrapped in this cloth. The nun said you didn't even look back." Rita opened her mouth, then closed it again. Tears gathered in the corners of her eyes. "No," she whispered. "No, it can't be." Michael said the word slowly, with venom. "I am. Him." She dropped her wine glass. It shattered. The waiter outside rushed forward, but Michael raised a hand. The door remained closed. Rita tried to get up, but her knees were weak. She sat back down, shaking. "Please. Michael. I didn't know. I was young. I don't want your excuses," he cut her off. "I just wanted to see your face. To see what the woman who abandoned me for luxury looks like now." Rita's voice cracked. "I was scared. I had no money. I didn't even know if you'd survive. But you survived, Michael snapped. You became rich. Married a senator. Opened boutiques. Lied to everyone about your past. Including your husband. Rita buried her face in her hands. Please, don't destroy me. Michael chuckled bitterly. Destroy you? No. I don't have to. Life will handle that. He stood, straightened his jacket, and dropped the cloth in her lap. Keep it, he said. As a reminder. Then he walked out. She sat there frozen for several minutes, her wig slightly off balance, makeup running, hands trembling. No one in the restaurant knew what had just happened. But Rita knew. And her perfect world. It had just cracked open. In Lagos, secrets are currency. But when the past knocks at your door wearing a billionaire's suit, no lie can save you. Madame Rita had finally come face to face with her shame. But this was only the beginning. Rita broke down crying. Right there. In the middle of the expensive restaurant. Her lashes fell. Her lipstick smeared. Her tears soaked the Ankara cloth laid before her. But Michael? He didn't flinch. His voice was calm. Icy. Final. Don't cry. I'm not here for your tears. She reached for his hand. He pulled back. He leaned in, his tone razor-sharp. You left me. A newborn. Wrapped in a bloody cloth. You left me outside like trash. You never came back. Never wondered. Never searched. You just moved on. Rita sobbed harder. She tried to explain, but her voice shook. I was scared. I was young. I didn't know better. Michael cut her off. Spare me. You weren't scared when you were at parties. You weren't scared when you married a senator. You weren't scared when you walked past orphans with your head held high. She tried to hug him. A desperate move. One last grasp at redemption. But Michael stood up. He stepped back, his words like thunder. I built myself without you. I bled. I suffered. I survived. And now you want to hug me? Because I'm rich? Silence filled the room. The only sound was Rita's broken breathing and the soft hum of expensive jazz in the background. Michael walked away, leaving the cloth on the table. That same night, a whisper turned into a storm. By morning, the headlines screamed. Former senator's wife is mother to billionaire orphan. The blogs went mad. Social media exploded. Her boutique. Cancelled overnight. Clients pulled out. Celebrities distanced themselves. Her husband. Furious. Betrayed. Humiliated. You lied to me for 25 years, he shouted, slamming doors. By sunset, Rita was thrown out of the mansion in Lekki. She had no plan. No savings. Just shame. She tried to call Michael. He didn't answer. She went to his office, dressed in all black, no makeup, no wig. She knelt beside his black SUV, right in front of the gate, her hands raised like a beggar. Michael, please, just hear me. Security stepped in. She screamed his name. They carried her out like a common nuisance. Cameras caught it all. By nightfall, she had nowhere to go. She returned to the one place she swore she'd never see again. Ajagunal. The compound was smaller now. Older. Dirtier. She laid on a torn mattress, no fan, no light. Cockroaches crawled nearby. She stared at the ceiling, her eyes swollen, her soul empty. The same girl who once walked in heels through political fundraisers. Now slept in silence, the echo of her past finally catching up to her. And in the distance, the city moved on. But Rita? She was stuck. In guilt. In regret. In the very place she tried to erase. Weeks had passed since the confrontation. Since Rita's public disgrace. Since the headlines faded. But Michael's heart was still heavy. Something still felt incomplete. Then one morning, his secretary walked in, holding an envelope. "Sir, this came by courier. No return address." Michael opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Shaky. Old-fashioned. And signed. Mom Nkechi. She was sick. Dying, the letter said. And she needed to see him. Just once. There was something he had to know. Something Rita never told. At first, Michael hesitated. He wasn't interested in any more pain. But curiosity clawed at him. The next day, he visited the small, run-down hospital in Mushin. No security. No PR team. Just him, in a hoodie, sunglasses, and quiet footsteps. He walked into the dim ward. There she was, Mom Nkechi, frail, her voice barely a whisper, but her eyes, still sharp. She gestured for him to come closer. He sat beside her bed. She took a long breath, then dropped the truth. Rita lied to everyone, even herself. Michael frowned. "What do you mean?" Mom Nkechi looked into his eyes. "You're not the son of Chief Fashola. That man had nothing to do with you." Michael stiffened. "Then who?" Her answer shattered everything. "Your real father was Paul Okizi. My former tenant. A good man. Quiet. Brilliant. He loved your mother. Truly. But she rejected him, because he was poor." Michael's heart pounded. His mouth went dry. Mom Nkechi coughed hard, her chest rising and falling. He was devastated. But he never stopped loving her, or you. After you were born, he tried to come back. He wanted to take you. Raise you. Start a new life with you both. Michael leaned in, tears threatening to form. "What happened to him?" Mom Nkechi closed her eyes. "He died in a fire, just 2 months after you were born. The landlord said he ran into the burning house, trying to get the only thing he had left. A picture of you. For the first time in years." Michael cried. He didn't say a word. He just sat there. Head bowed. Eyes wet. Later that week, he paid for Mom Nkechi's full treatment. He moved her to a private hospital in Ikoyi. She didn't ask him to. He just did it. Out of respect. Out of sorrow. But as for Rita, he never called her. Never sent a message. Never gave her another glance. She now worked as a cleaner in a cheap guest house in Surulere. Waking up at 4 a.m., scrubbing toilets, mopping floors, and serving guests who never knew who she used to be. One rainy afternoon, fate played its final card. Michael was being chauffeured to a meeting on the mainland. The sky was gray. The rain fell hard. As the car slowed near a roadside gutter, he glanced outside. There she was. Rita. Soaked to the bone. Her hands gripped a mop. Her uniform sagged. Her wig looked like it had given up. She looked up. Their eyes met. Just for a second. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He said nothing. Instead, he turned his face back to the road. And with one flick of his finger, the wiper came on. And the car drove forward. Leaving her behind. Drenched. Empty. Forgotten.